Today we're going to learn how to solve literal equations. A literal equation is simply an equation with more than one variable. So when we solve a literal equation, we will not get an answer like x equals 6 because there will be more than one variable. So we'll get an answer that's an expression in terms of other variables. So let's take a look at how this works. Our essential question is what we've been working with this whole unit. How do we apply the golden rule of algebra, this time to solving literal equations? Our first example, some of you might recognize from last year when you worked with lines. 3x plus 2y equals 6 is an equation of a line in what's called standard form. When we solve it for y, we're going to be putting it into slope-intercept form. So when you solve a literal equation, it's helpful to circle the variable that you want to isolate or get alone. That way you know what you need to move and what needs to stay where it is. The y needs to stay where it is. Everything else needs to move. So what I notice is I have addition and multiplication. So using order of operations backwards, I'm going to cancel my addition first by subtracting 3x from both sides, golden rule. So of course on the left-hand side my 3x's cancel, leaving me with 2y. Now on the right-hand side, it's really tempting to say that we have 6 minus 3x is 3x and try and subtract them. Remember, those are not like terms. The 6 does not have an x, so we cannot combine them. Because this is an equation of a line, I am going to write the x term first, being very careful to keep track of that negative sign that it is in front of my x term, and the 6 is positive. We can do this because you can add in any order. 3 plus 4 is 7, and 4 plus 3 is 7. The order in which you add doesn't matter. You get the same answer. Same thing works with variables. We have 6 plus negative 3x, so we can rearrange it as negative 3x plus 6. Last thing I need to do to get y alone is divide everything by 2. So I'm going to show each term in my equation being divided by 2. This is another way to set up the butterfly method. So 2y divided by 2 gives me y. Negative 3 over 2 cannot be simplified. That is what would be my slope of the line. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So if you remember, that would be the y-intercept. So now we have our line in slope-intercept form. Next, we have the equation for the area of a triangle, and we're going to solve for the base. This could be helpful if you know the area and the height and you need to solve for the base. You could rearrange the equation. I'm noticing on the right-hand side everything is multiplication, so I'm going to cancel it by division. Now when we divide fractions, the easier way is actually to multiply by the reciprocal. So if I multiply both sides by 2, that will cancel the division by 2, leaving me with b times h. So to finish solving for b, I'm going to divide both sides by h to cancel my multiplication. So the base is equal to 2 times the area divided by the height. Our next equation is one that you are familiar with, even if you might not recognize it. This equation is distance equals rate times time, and you use it quite a bit, especially when you're driving. So for example, if you are driving at 60 miles an hour and you've been driving for 3 hours, you would multiply those together and you've traveled 180 miles. This time we're solving for t. We want to isolate t, so we're going to divide both sides by r. So our time equals the distance divided by the rate. One more we're going to take a look at. This time we're going to be solving our line for x. So this could be helpful if you know the y value of the line and you want to solve for x. I'm going to start by adding 3y to both sides to cancel my subtraction. Again, be very careful that you do not combine terms if they do not have the same variable. On the left-hand side, my y's cancel, leaving me with 5x. On the right-hand side, my 12 does not have a y, so I cannot combine it with my 3y. So I get 12 plus 3y. Again, you can add in any order. So if you want to put your 3y term first and have 3y plus 12, that works too. Finally, we're going to solve for x by dividing everything by 5. So make sure whatever you do to one side, you do to the entire other side. On the left-hand side, we get just x. On the right-hand side, 12 over 5 cannot be simplified, and neither can 3 over 5. So we have our expression x equals 12/5 plus 3/5 y. One last example, this is the formula for the circumference of a circle. We want to solve for the radius. So notice we have the radius being multiplied by 2 pi. We can get this done in one step if we divide both sides by 2 pi. So our radius is equal to the circumference divided by 2 pi. And finally, here are 2 you-try questions for you. The first one should look familiar, the equation of a line. We saw how to solve for y earlier in this video. The second one is the perimeter formula for a rectangle.